I think the main concern that we've been getting comments on is, everyone understands that these plans cover you if you're going off on a weekend trip to Rome or a week-long trip in London. What about when you're going for a day trip to Sevilla, or for that matter, a day trip to La Línea? Well, as long as you're a Gibraltar resident, presumably you are, because you're taking out a plan here in Gibraltar, so a Gibraltar resident that is crossing a border, crossing over into Spain, obviously you're crossing a border, then the cover is applicable. So irrespective of whether it's a day trip or a 2-day trip, as long as you're within the period of cover, so you've got either a single trip policy for your weekend trip, or a week-long policy, or an annual policy for all of your trips in the year. As long as you're within your period of cover, then just by the virtue of crossing a border, you're covered.
Another question many Gibraltarians will have is about those who have pre-existing conditions, those with who have suffered heart attacks, those who have diabetes, for example. Will insurance packages and policies cover them as well?
Yeah. Well, pre-existing conditions has always been a bit of a sore point for insurers. Basically, what you'd be suggesting there is similar to, I had a fire at home yesterday and I now want to insure it. Well, I'm sorry, it's too late, it's already happened. So in medical insurance, or for that matter, medical cover under a travel policy, to say I have a heart condition and I want you to insure it, well, it happened already, so it's too late to insure it. So pre-existing conditions is a bit of a sticky subject. However, with the provider that we're using, the way they handle this is pre-existing conditions are generally excluded, but then there is a list of conditions that they'll accept. So they kind of re-include certain conditions. But I have got to say, the more serious medical conditions are always going to be excluded under a medical type or travel type policy, unfortunately. Age is also an issue. These policies tend to be age rated, which means that someone who's very young pays less and someone who's very old pays more. If every insurer will always have a limit that they're wanting to insure. Some actually put a lower limit, unusual, but you could say they won't insure anyone under 18, very unusual in this type of policy. Most will say, and very common, very usual, is an age band that won't insure people over. So to say, for example, over 65 or over 55 or over 80 or whatever it might be, that every insurer will have their limit where they don't want to insure people anymore.
And in terms of logistics, there's already a bit of a rush underway as Gibraltarians scramble to seek coverage. Is there a limit to how many plans the insurance industry can offer to residents in general?
There isn't a limit in the sense of the word that the insurer will say we'll only insure so many people from any particular territory. There isn't that. The only limitation that I can see at the moment is how many plans can be processed, given the fact that it's D-Day is tomorrow, 1st of July. So if you need to have this in place by 1st of July, we're going all out to try and get every inquiry taken care of. I'm sure all of the other insurance intermediaries in Gibraltar are doing the same where they're able to. We're getting an awful lot of inquiries, as you might imagine, and we've got most of our team handling those inquiries and only those inquiries. So we're doing as many of them as we possibly can. We're doing overtime. We were here last night still handling inquiries. They're working through lunch. So yes, we're trying to get as many done by the time we go home tonight.